The NYXI Warrior featured in today's review was provided courtesy of NYXI. The GameCube controller is one of my favorite gaming pads of all time. The shape is great, and it fits well even with my larger hands, and I love the button layout. The only thing it was missing was a second shoulder button and clickable sticks to make it the perfect controller. Over the years, several modern takes on the GameCube controller have been released with varying degrees of success. One of the more intriguing options I've seen is the NYXI Warrior, a Bluetooth GameCube-style controller with compatibility not only for PC and Switch, but actual GameCube systems. After spending a few weeks with the Warrior, it shows a lot of promise, but could use some adjustments to make it an ideal option for GameCube controller fans. The NYXI Warrior comes in a premium box with a minimalist exterior. The front slipcover depicts the Warrior with its name and compatible systems, along with highlighting its Bluetooth connectivity. The back features another depiction of the Warrior and calls out key features of its design. System compatibility and specifications are also listed. Removing the slipcover reveals a thick box that houses the Warrior. Inside the box you will find the Warrior, GameCube receiver, 2 USB-C cables, swappable gates, swappable C-stick, swappable back panel, and a user manual. The NYXI Warrior gives a great first impression when picking it up. The form factor feels reminiscent of original GameCube controllers with a great color-matched purple scheme, and it fits well in my hands. It has a great weight to it and feels incredibly sturdy. My fingers line up well with buttons, D-pad, and sticks without any weird stretching. The shoulder buttons and triggers are also easy to hit. On the back in its default configuration are an extra pair of programmable buttons that likewise line up perfectly with the natural grip of the controller. In terms of comfort, the Warrior hits it out of the park. Each face button uses a micro switch instead of the typical membrane found in most controllers, and each feels fast and smooth to press. I have become an increasing fan of micro switch face buttons, and I have not been let down by the ones found on the Warrior. The audible click is also highly satisfying. The R and L shoulder buttons likewise make use of micro switches and provide the same satisfying experience. The D-pad is also using micro switches with a large rocker-style disc. It is fun to use and has provided good results in my collection of retro games. Fighting games have worked okay with it as well, but I have noticed it tends to favor diagonals on quick movements. The triggers on the Warrior do not make use of any physical buttons like an OEM GameCube controller or the recent Retro Fighters Battler GC Pro. Instead, it makes use of just Hall effect sensors to determine range values and in-press. Resistance on them is great, and the ranges have lined up well with the entire physical pull. Trigger locks are also present to make them more suited for use on the Switch and its intended digital feel. The rear programmable buttons have a nice textured feel, and it is a cool feature that you can remove them if desired. A series of LEDs reside along the top of the shell that act as status lights for the programmable buttons and the controller's included turbo mode. Another 4 LEDs can be found on the side to indicate the assigned player number while in use on Switch. Thumbsticks have good resistance while in use, and the thumb caps have a good grip to prevent slipping while in use. The default gating is notched like an original GameCube controller, but can be swapped with traditional circular gates as desired. The smaller C-stick can also be swapped for a full-size cap, giving players control over their preferred feel. Removing the gates can be tricky, but the functionality is welcomed. L3 and R3 clicks are also present, allowing the Warrior full compatibility with modern titles. Diving into games, the Warrior has proven to be a mostly solid input option. It is easy to get paired up with its included GameCube receiver or with a PC and Switch, so you'll be playing games with it in minutes. PC can be paired in Switch or X input mode, allowing for even more flexibility. Latency has been great, and I have yet to notice any game-affecting delays. I honestly have no complaints with its face buttons or shoulder buttons, as they have felt great during every tested game. The triggers likewise have been incredibly solid, and it is easy to manipulate their ranges in games like Need for Speed Underground. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes' quick equip also works as expected. D-pad use has been perfect for my Tony Hawk sessions and while using the Game Boy player. For fighting games, I again notice it does like to favor diagonals on quick rotations, so this won't be a pad I'd recommend for casual or hardcore FGC fans. The thumbsticks, though, are where the Warrior shows some need for refinements. On GameCube, ranges are set to a value of 127 along each cardinal axis, with diagonals having a square gating. This is incredibly high, which can lead to oversensitivity in many titles like Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 or other shooters. For some games, like 007 Nightfire, I appreciate the added sensitivity, but overall it doesn't make for the best GameCube experience. For the proper GameCube experience, these ranges need to be brought down to the 100 mark, with diagonals landing around 70-70. Hopefully a future firmware update can see these ranges refined, as it would make the Warrior a solid input option for GameCube systems. Thumbstick ranges can be calibrated with a built-in macro of minus, home, and A, but this hasn't helped with ranges on GameCube and has often led to many issues on PC and Switch. Adjusting gates can also lead to varying range issues, so doing another calibration after a swap can be necessary. Sadly, I have found that doing calibrations with the octagonal gatings can often lead to shorted ranges in any direction, so getting it right can take some time. It is unfortunate that stick ranges can be so problematic when the Warrior has solid performance when you can manage to get it lined up with no dead zone issues and easy, precise movements. Out of the box, you may also have the wonderful L3 and R3 stick glitch, where clicking in the sticks shortens the ranges until re-paired with your system of choice. For Switch players, the Warrior also includes motion control support to use while playing. In my side-by-side, it feels very similar to that found in the first-party Pro controllers, but I must admit I care little for the feature. The Warrior is also able to wake the Switch from sleep mode whenever you would like to play. The programmable rear buttons also work easily and can be mapped to every button found on the Warrior. D-pad directions remain my favorite use case for quick activation without having to take my thumbs off the left stick. It can also be used to record macros if desired. It is a bit odd to me though that the programming button is on the face of the pad and not the one on the back panel with the buttons. Instead, the back button controls turbo button functionality, which I appreciate the inclusion of for when I'm playing shmups. The rumble motor included in the Warrior feels like a cell phone vibration, which is odd at first. It provides a decent strength, but it certainly feels off for a GameCube pad. It likely helps to reduce battery usage, and the Warrior can last a long time with its 900 mAh battery. Charge time takes around 2.5 hours. You can use the Warrior in a wired configuration on PC and Switch, so you can play while charging, or if you would like the lowest input latency possible. Again, I feel the NYXI Warrior has the potential to be a favorite for fans of GameCube-style controllers. In its current state though, the thumbsticks hold it down from achieving that goal. A firmware update to address ranges while in use on GameCube will go a long way to help with the overall feel and accuracy for the system. Properly calibrating the sticks from the factory would also go a long way in easing user frustration while setting up the controller. There is no excuse for any controller to give users the L3-R3 bug out of the box. Stick calibration macros are also inconsistent and can cause further performance degradation when not done correctly, making the user experience that much more frustrating. The firmware while making this video is 1.66 and the firmware on the NYXI site is 1.59, so I'll provide some sort of update after the next revision is released if the issue has been addressed. The NYXI Warrior has the potential to be a great GameCube-style controller for GameCube, PC, and Switch. Unfortunately, its thumbsticks need more refinement before it can. I do hope that NYXI will release an update to address this, as every other aspect of the controller has been pleasing to use, and its larger battery is certainly a plus. Keep an eye out for any updates that the controller receives before deciding to jump in, as until the sticks are fixed, you will likely be disappointed. Thank you for making it to the end of today's review on the NYXI Warrior. Again, I cannot stress enough how this really has the potential to be just a fantastic GameCube controller option for people that love the original GameCube, Switch, or PC. Now, that being said, for Switch users, PC users, this isn't a terrible option. It will require some calibration of the thumbsticks to get things to work right, and I'm not a fan of having to do that as an out-of-the-box experience. It should just work out of the box, and L3, R3 glitches are never acceptable to me. But once you run the calibration macro a couple of times, you can get pretty decent performance out of this on PC and Switch, even if it isn't quite one-to-one with their OEM controllers. Not a big deal for those platforms. But on GameCube, it is going to be just overly sensitive, more than it's supposed to be, and I really do hope that gets addressed because, again, not a bad option, especially if you like clicky buttons, like really cool stuff going on here. Very low latency in the Bluetooth connection, like really no major complaints outside of the ranges on this. So, again, I hope NYXI will address it, and I'm looking forward to providing some sort of short or something if it does. But until then, thanks again to NYXI for sending this out my way to check out, and thanks again to all of you for watching. But just here at the end, usual favors, if you haven't already, thumbs up, thumbs down, depending on how much you like this review. And then that's a button and notification bell so you can see when new videos go live on the channel. More controller reviews, tutorials, game reviews coming your way, and I'd love to have each and every one of you along for the ride. Now, for anyone else interested in further helping to support the channel to keep it going so we can bring more content like this to all of you, please be sure to check out that join button here on YouTube or that Patreon link when it pops up in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Every little bit helps, and we are just super grateful to everyone who has done so far. You're just incredible. Thank you for believing in what we do here and helping us keep it going. But until next time, my wonderful internet peeps, you all stay awesome, keep on gaming, and we'll see you all back next video.